Welcome back, time to newcomers. I'd like to apologize to Ace Attorney. Last episode, we tore apart Zak Gramarye's testimony, and he's looking very suspicious right about now. Let's continue.
You see, I know exactly what you're thinking.
What's he talking about?
You say the witness used the syringe to manipulate the level of the IV liquid. But there is no proof.
There's no proof he didn't do it either.
Yes, quite true.
Huh? He's admitting it?
Nor was this witness quite as decisive as I'd hoped. This I admit. After all, why linger in the past when the future holds so much?
You have something in mind, Prosecutor Gavin?
Proof, Herr Judge. I have another way to prove my case. This evidence, no less.
What's this?
This is the victim Magnify Gramarye's diary.
Diary?
After going into the hospital, Magnify began writing his memoirs, it seems. The story of his birth, his startling debut, and of meeting his disciples. It seems he intended for the last chapter to end, quite appropriately, with his death.
Wait, that book doesn't say what the reason was, does it? The reason why his disciples couldn't refuse his last request?
Sadly, it does not. What's important here is on the last page. Apparently, the victim wrote in his journal that night, even after the IV had begun at 11 p.m. Let's read it, shall we?
This does appear to have been written just before his death. The court accepts this into evidence. Magnify's diary added to the court record.
Read the very last part with particular care. This journal may end here or it may go on, but not long. That depends on his hand. Of course, by his. He refers to our defendant, Zak Gramarye.
That would make sense, yes. He was the first scheduled visitor, after all.
But look at what he said before that. This journal may end here or it may go on. It may go on. Magnify Gramarye intended to write again. That is, if Zak Gramarye didn't pull the trigger. I see the defense understands the meaning of this. The victim's diary does not go on. It ends. Because Magnify's life was brought to an end by the defendant, Zak Gramarye.
Order! Prosecutor Gavin, are you certain that Magnify Gramarye wrote this?
There is no mistaking his handwriting.
Well, this does seem to be significant. According to this, Magnify did intend to continue his diary. Yet, if his diary ended here, which plainly it
Then
did...
the one who pulled the trigger was the first visitor, Zak Gramarye. Well, how do you like me now, Wright? Still too green for your tastes,
He's right about the diary being pretty clear. Still, I find it hard to believe that he'd overlook such an obvious problem with his precious evidence.
Well, Mr. Wright, the witness's testimony we heard was lacking. But, put together with this evidence, it seems quite sufficient for a case.
If the diary is accepted like this, then the trial's over. Maybe it's time for me to show them something.
Well, this is it, guys. We gotta show it.
I'm left with no choice but to show my own evidence.
What? You have some evidence that overturns this diary?
It's not too late to rethink this and avoid more embarrassment.
Very well. Please show us your evidence, Mr. Wright.
Incidentally, don't even think of showing us this diary I've just shown the court. Now that we've come this far, I hope you have something a little more decisive. Show us evidence that proves the victim continued writing his diary.
Alright, I'd be happy to. The decisive evidence proving that the diary didn't end with this page is...
I think you all know where this is going if you've been paying attention. We have to present the notebook page.
Take that! First, take a close look at this diary. Note that a page has clearly been ripped out.
What's this? I hadn't noticed that at all.
That's why we're still here talking about this. As it just so happens, I have here what I believe to be the missing page.
Halika, I don't believe it!
Looking at this page, it's hard to imagine that the first visitor that night shot Zak Gramarye. That's the defense's position.
Wait, let me see that. What in the name of beard? Why, this is a continuation of the victim's diary.
Note the torn edge of the paper. It's a perfect match between the torn remains of the last page in the Magnifi's diary.
Quite remarkable.
Would you care to explain what all this means, Herr Attorney?
The diary continued after his visitor came, which means that the victim was still alive after Zak Gramarye left, leaving no one to take his life but the second visitor. Valant Gramarye!
No. No!
The handwriting, too. Matches that on the other pages. This is without a doubt the genuine article. Order, order, order!
But wait! That's impossible! That old man couldn't have written that!
Finally. You just couldn't resist, could you, Wright?
Resist what? Presenting solid evidence?
Yeah, Judge.
Yes, Prosecutor Gavin?
Might I request we put the current cross-examination on hold? The prosecution would like to call a new witness.
But Prosecutor Gavin, this evidence overturns the current witness.
I ask only to put it on hold. Please. My new witness has a very, very important piece of testimony to give. 5 minutes, no more. I promise, Your Honor.
Well, if you put it that way, Mr. Wright, what's your take on this?
Well, Your Honor, judging from his enthusiasm, we'll have to hear this new testimony sooner or later anyway. So it might as well be sooner.
Then, though this is highly, highly irregular, we will put the current cross-examination on hold. The witness may step down. Now, Prosecutor Gavin, please bring the surprise witness to the courtroom.
I had a bad feeling just then. That ripped out page was too obvious. He must have known. And I should have known it was a bad sign all around.
Holding trial with no audience is a first. Even for me, Prosecutor Gavin.
I beg the court's understanding. But I had to make a judiciary deal with the witness to secure his testimony.
A judiciary deal?
The details of his testimony may have some legal ramifications, shall we say. I thought it best to contain the information to this room.
Very well. And you are the witness, I gather?
Yes, sir.
State your name and occupation for the record.
My name's Drew Misham. I'm a painter.
A painter? And you are somehow related to this case?
No, well, not per se.
I have one simple question for this witness. Mr. Misham, was it? Do you know what this is?
Oh, yeah, I know it well.
How is that possible? Have you seen this diary page somewhere before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made it.
You... what? You made it?
Yes, you might call it one of my works.
The regional prosecutor's office received a tip-off yesterday. Illegal evidence has been prepared for us for the trial of Zak Gramarye.
Illegal evidence?
I initiated an investigation and found this witness. A painter to the world at large, Drew Misham has another side, you might say. He is skilled in making perfect reproductions of certain scenes. Forgeries, in other words.
Forgeries?
Well, so we are to understand that this page here is...
A fake, prepared by a certain defense attorney.
Hold it. I didn't prepare the evidence.
Ah, the attorney speaks. Something about this page, I presume, but what is he saying? It makes no sense. After all, it was you who presented this evidence to us, Phoenix, right?
Witness! Mr. Misham, was it? Who requested this forgery? Who was your client?
That, I don't know.
What?
Most of my clients prefer to remain anonymous, even to me. I make the items they want and receive my payment. That's the extent of my contact with them.
But there's no proof this is a fake.
It's a fake.
Huh.
To avoid just this sort of problem, I always put a special mark on my works. I can say without a doubt this is mine.
Mr. Wright. You just presented illegal evidence to this court. My court!
It was careless of me. That's all I can say.
Ow! Oh boy! Here.
What's this?
I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. They told me to give it to the old boy in the blue suit with the spiky hair. They said it was really important.
It was all a trap. A fatal trap.
Mr. Wright,
Yes?
do you have an explanation for yourself?
If I did, would the court hear it?
Probably not. Forging evidence is a serious crime, and presenting it in court a serious mistake. A fatal mistake for an attorney.
Fatal too, perhaps, for your client, I fear. Tell me, what kind of defendant relies on forged evidence? The answer is quite clear. A guilty one!
Your Honor, wait! I understand that presenting forged evidence in court is a serious crime. But you cannot hold my client responsible for actions I undertook as an individual.
I am sorry, Mr. Wright.
Your Honor?
Another close call, I dare say. If the prosecutor's office hadn't received that hot tip, everything would have gone the way you wanted it to, yeah? I even gave you a chance. Too bad you decided not to think before embarrassing yourself.
I see no need for further discussion on this matter. Special witness dismissed.
Mr. Attorney?
Yes?
Could I ask your name?
Phoenix Wright.
Mr. Wright. I have seen and studied many people, but none like you. I remember you, Mr. Wright.
Though I deeply regret having to declare a verdict in this way, this trial is over. You have the right to find a new attorney and make an appeal. However, this court must...
Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Zak?
There is one thing I wish to make clear. Today, in this courtroom, you cannot declare me guilty. It is impossible.
I'm afraid the defendant is quite mistaken. I most certainly have the authority to declare a verdict on you.
Except, tell me, how do you plan on announcing your verdict when your defendant does not exist?
Doesn't exist? What are you talking about?
I am talking about this.
Mr. Enigmar!
The defendant's escaped! Find him! Quick!
Bailiff, close all the exits from the building! On the double, he must not be allowed to escape!
That day in that courtroom, a miracle occurred. The defendant, Shadi Enigmar, aka Zak Gramarye, did not just escape from court, He literally, unbelievably vanished. Right before the bailiff's eyes. So no one ever saw him again. Not since that day.
This is the Gramarye miracle.
No verdict was declared. After all, the defendant didn't exist. That's how it happened. The trial of magician Zak Gramarye vanished, along with him, for all eternity. The mysteries that remained behind were solved, however, but not until 7 years later.
What a flashback case. This is it, guys. The final stretch of the game, and we're about to begin it. Let's do this. Save, 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 save. I'm ready to finish this game.
The trial 7 years ago was the beginning of it all. This I know beyond a doubt. The mysteries of the past work their magic on the present. But you'll soon be finding all of this out yourself. Which of Magnifi Gramarye's disciples pulled that trigger? Where did the vanishing defendant Zak Gramarye go? What dark truth lurks behind the forged diary page? And what about the girl who was left behind? The past left us these 4 keys to unlocking the truth. But that's not all. There are 4 keys in the present as well. And when all the questions have found their answers, the final trial will begin. But first, you must chase the truth through then and now. Think of it as a game. I, Phoenix Wright, will guide you through this game. The terrible trial saw me present forged evidence. It ended half finished when the defendant vanished. What became of me after that? As your investigation proceeds, the answer will become clear. Oh, and one more thing. There's something I must tell you. As Apollo Justice has his bracelet, so too do I have my own weapon of sorts. My Magatama. What does it do, you ask? That I would have you see for yourself. Well now, shall we begin? Touch the arrow to switch between past and present. But let's begin 7 years ago in the past. It is right after my last trial came to an abrupt end. Now that you know the game, let's play.
Which one to go through first? Let's go to the detention center.
The nightmare trial was over. And a new nightmare of figuring out what happened had just begun. I wanted to wake up, to walk away. But I figured I'm the only one who could do this, probably. And besides, I had plenty of time. Thanks to the Bar Association Review Board's decision. It's hard to work when your attorney's badge has been taken away.
"7 years ago, detention center, visitor's room."
What strange sight doth my eyes behold?
Excuse me?
2 men on either side of a single transparent pane. Yet it seems fickle fate has switched sides, so to speak. The forger fakes, walks freely, while the innocent languishes within these plexiglass confines.
There's been no proof that I forged anything.
Nor proof that I took the life of my dear mentor. Yet, these chains cannot hold me for long. The stage awaits. And what, may I ask, awaits you?
A little piano and a cold little hole in the wall.
But, since you are here, what shall we discuss?
The shooting of Zak Gramarye, for one. Who pulled that trigger? Valant or his partner, Zak? His partner vanished before the answer could be found. If I'm going to get any closer to the truth, this is the place to start.
Alright. Now, this whole segment is going to be going back and forth through time, so God knows how many episodes this is going to take. But it shouldn't take too many, and I'm guessing probably less than 10 episodes, probably less than even 8 till the finale, so let's see what happens. Faithful trial.
I have to hand it to my partner. He knows how to make an exit. That's talent.
Yes, he made my attorney's badge disappear. And he never even touched it.
Glory spotlight always leaves someone weeping in the shadows. Yet, his very disappearance is itself a revelation.
Revealing what?
Zak Gramarye killed Magnifi. It's as good as a signed confession.
It's certainly public opinion's take on it.
I grow tired of my cage. And the time of my release is near. I must go and prepare.
Planning on jumping back into the magic book right away?
As long as an audience awaits with bated breath, there will be Valant, and also...
Yes?
Now that my partner has disappeared, Magnifi's repertoire is mine. Valant Gramarye has a tradition to uphold.
Is that true?
Seen in this light, the trial was good to me, verdict or no. And you can't pay for that kind of publicity.
What a douche. Whoops, pressed the wrong button. Okay, let's try this again. What a douche.
The suspicion on you hasn't lifted entirely, Valant. After all, you received one of those letters too. You were just as obligated to follow Magnifi's instructions as your partner.
So I was, but only Zak Gramarye followed them. Let us not speak any more of who shot what. Now that my partner has vanished, the question is moot.
I'm more interested in learning something else, actually.
What might that be?
I want to know what Magnifi had up his sleeve. How could he coerce you and your partner to kill him?
We'll find out next episode. Rate, comment, subscribe, favorite on the next epic episode of Apollo Justice, the final investigation of the game. continues.